Hey everyone, GratuiTous here from itsgratuitous.com. Really excited to release version 2.1 of my M Audio Oxygen Pro premium preset for FL Studio. As you can see, here are the new colors. All right, there's a lot I have to cover with you in this video, so we're going to get right to it. The first thing is if you visit itsgratuitous.com/Oxygen Pro, this is a dedicated page to keep you updated on what's going on with it. I will be updating these videos on each page. There is the free MIDI script. This one gets your transport buttons working. This is for free. It's on the ImageLine forums. Here is the premium Oxygen Pro template. I'll just quickly look at that page with you. It is $9 and you get lifetime access to all these updates. So if you continue down, you can see I've now created a navigation area to teach you about the drum pad layout. There is also the change log for what gets changed over time with the premium add-on. If you don't have the Oxygen Pro, I've left you tons of resources on why I like this MIDI keyboard for FL Studio. Here's a review. So let's look at the drum pad layout. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just like right here. All right. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then the arrows is 17. And then the other arrow is 18. For example, the 7 is 7 down here, 8 is 8 down here, okay? Also, you can see that the image scrolls with you. Let me know if you want that bigger or anything. I tried to make it good so it works good on mobile, but you can see that here is the global section. So in other words, it works in any window. Here is how these buttons work in the channel rack. Here's how the buttons work in the generator window. And here is the change log. And it'll just list exactly everything that's changed. I changed in what's global, what's changed in the channel rack. The biggest one I want to share with you is, first of all, this Grat Workflow 1. And in the premium preset file, you can just put Grat Workflow to 1, save it, reopen FL Studio, and it gives you my exact workflow. But I've also designed it because maybe you might not like that workflow, but you still want to take advantage of a lot of the things, okay? So now I want to talk about some things that have changed because people were emailing me. They're a little bit confused in the naming that I was using. And so the first thing to say is if we go to the presets, so you can see there's version 1 and then version 2. Before I had this as, if this loads up, okay, so we had version 1, which was before I had it as default version, and then version 2 was the preset version. So version 2.1 changed to prevent naming confusion. Version 1 is if you just want to get the Oxygen Pro set up nice and good in FL Studio, you want a good workflow, but you don't want to be following this drum pad workflow. Version 2 allows you to take advantage of all these updates regarding everything that you've seen so far in the changelog and the drum pad layout, okay? So the next thing that changed is in the MIDI script, I've now labeled it M Audio Oxygen Pro. Where you install this, so again, you go to Documents, ImageLine, FL Studio, Settings, Hardware, and this is where we install our MIDI scripts. And all you have to do is literally just click, drop, and drag it in there, okay? So you just go copy to hardware. And then you will be presented with this, and that's it. It is now installed in FL Studio. If you want to follow my own personal workflow off of the Oxygen Pro, you can double click it, and I put it right up at the top, okay? So you can see GratuiTous' workflow. So by default, I shipped it with 0. If you want to follow it, you just got to open up this file, put it to 1. This is more information about what Grat Workflow does. It allows you to automatically do things to save 1 or 2 steps. Okay, so here, first of all, let's just go into FL Studio. So you can hit F10 or you can come here to Options and there is the settings. Now, what you're seeing right here, this is what I recommend for installation. Now, again, if you're using version 1 where the drum pads are all orange, you're just going to put this to generic. If you want to follow along with version 2.1, you just put that on the Oxygen Pro, whether you have the Mini, the 25, 49, or the 61. For the Mini, you're just going to have to switch over your 2 different banks to take advantage of the drum pad workflow. And then the MIDI in 3, this one is the free MIDI script, and that one gets the transport buttons working. As you can see right here, these are the transport buttons. That's it for the MIDI scripts. It is installed, but you have to make sure to now install the template, and I'll just do the 1, okay? So here is the M Audio Oxygen Pro 49 preset editor. Whatever model you have, make sure to install your preset editor, okay? And then, so I'm just gonna load this in. It gets loaded up, okay? You're gonna go File, and then you are going to go Send Preset. And what I suggest to you is to put it to preset 1, send it in, okay? And then you're done. Now on the actual MIDI keyboard, as you can see, you want to make sure you are in preset mode for the best experience. You want to hold down the preset mode, and then you select the very first preset. It'll say Grat. You just push in the knob, and now your drum pads should be good to go. All right, so how this works is this button over here opens up the menu. That's all it does, okay? This button right here is now save. If you have not yet saved the project, it'll pop up as like it's save as, and you can type in whatever you want the project name to be, hit enter, you're good to go. That's always your save button, okay? We have redo and undo, all right? And again, these are global. In other words, they'll always work no matter what window you're in. So as you can see, if I click some stuff in here, we can undo, we can redo, undo, redo. These two buttons down here, I've put them over to the side because they're very unique in what they do. For example, the biggest one I want to share with you is being able to select a mixer preset. So again, this is with Grat Workflow 1 enabled. So you can see number 9 has nothing on it. I'm going to hit this button and it loads an EQ and a compressor for me. And if you want to save your own, you can just right click, you go File, you're going to go Save Mixer State As, and as you can see, this is how I labeled mine. So I put 1 dash, and so you only want to set this up for one preset that you're always opening up on each mixer insert, because for me, I usually like to have an EQ and a compressor on each insert when I'm mixing, and this just saves me so many clicks. So you have to make sure to put it to 1 and then dash, and then you can put it whatever you want. I put fab for fab filter, EQ compressor. If you don't like this workflow or you're finding it buggy, you can come here to the premium preset, double click Grat Workflow, go Control C, press Control and F, and that will allow you to search for Grat Workflow within the code. And you can see this one right here, that one's flip state. And this one here is Open Mixer Preset, okay? So I've tried to label this so it's really easy to access. You can see Grat Workflow equals 1. So in other words, if it's true, like if you want to follow my workflow, then it's going to auto select. You can see enter. You can put that to 0. So in other words, you can go through here and you can enable and disable different things about the Grat workflow. So in other words, if you come all the way up to the code and if you put this to 0, everything of my workflow is disabled. If you want to enable my workflow, but there's a couple things that are a little annoying, you can search for this keyword, disable what you want. So for example, here is the mixer preset. If you don't want it to auto select, you can just go 0. I'm going to save it. Come here, you're going to open it up, go refresh. And now what's going to happen is if we click on a mixer insert and we click the purple button, you can see that now you can actually go up and down off of your drum pads and you can select the one you want. So for example, if you want to select it, you can hit enter. But if you want to have a whole bunch of different presets there, you can go through and select them. All right. So I've set this up for my own workflow, but I also thought about for you if you don't want to auto select that one preset all the time. Okay, so to finish off the global buttons, so this button right here is now new. You can see it is white. I've done that on purpose because it allows you to go to the browser. The reason I put it there is you'll see it's just a fast workflow. So let's hop to the channel rack now. So the first button goes up, the second button goes down. I tried to keep that workflow for everything. So in the mixer, it goes right and left. In the browser, it goes down and up. If you have something opened like this, you can see up and down, okay? Number 3 is how you open up something. We'll talk about the generator in just a second. If you have multiple windows, another thing about the Grat workflow, if it's to 1, you hit the close button, which is 4, and it closes everything, which is super powerful, okay? Number 4, in the actual channel rack, now we'll mute a sound. So you can go down and you can mute. This is a really cool pro tip when you're mixing your music. If you're mixing your song and there's a certain sound that's really clogging up the mix, but you can't figure out which one it is, you can do that right here by muting the sound, okay? And you'd be like, oh, okay, that one is the problem. When we go to the mixer, you're going to see that how I have it set up is it actually solos out. Now, another thing in the channel rack is we can now change patterns just from the drum pads. Usually for myself, when I'm working, I like to use the number pad a lot. So that's plus and minus. Again, look up here. I'm changing my patterns. And again, so a lot of new producers who are coming into FL Studio, they're seeing this new panel picker. For me personally, I just find that the panel picker takes up so much space on the screen, and I would rather have that screen real estate when I'm arranging my song. Okay, so you can see if I disable the panel picker, I like to use my number pad, and you can go through your patterns so fast. And once you can learn those keyboard shortcuts, I'm telling you, it just gives you a phenomenal workflow. Number 7, again, is a global button. It always goes to the to the browser. So essentially it's like up arrow, down arrow. This button does left, just like on like your actual keyboard keys and your typing keyboard. As you can see, we're closing folders. And then this is like right arrow. And again, you can go symbols and you can trigger that sound. And if you like the sound, you can hit, I believe this is number 5, and you can load it in, okay? And then again, you can hit this button to close it. And I've just tried to always keep that same workflow. The last one I want to share about the channel rack, and this is, again, I always like workflow, is this one does dump to score log, okay? So sometimes when I'm making my beats, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, do you know what? I really like that, but I didn't record it. Check this out. You hit dump to score log, and this one, there was no option I could find in the MIDI script settings to select this. So you always have to go to your mouse. So sometimes if you do hit notes, right? A lot of times I would come up here to tools, dump to score log, and then last 2 minutes. And you can see that there's all those notes. So a lot of times I like that for a workflow. And now you can get that off of this drum pad. I just put it as not a color, just to kind of differentiate. I just found it was really useful. This button right here just opens up the piano roll. That is, sorry, I think I forgot that one. That one's like a global button. That's all it does, okay? So now let's hop to the generator windows. The biggest one for the generator windows of what's new is the Grat workflow. So if you have enabled Grat workflow, let's say you have a bunch of plugin windows open, you can simply just hit the close button and it closes everything. Sometimes you might find that one of these windows closes and it's kind of annoying. Right now I've hacked this together with the Grat workflow 1. So if you don't like that workflow, again, you can disable that and then you would have to go through each one manually. And again, like I had before, when you hit the tab button, you can see up here it says plugin focused, which means that you would actually have to hit the close and then you can keep tabbing through. And that was a really good workflow, but I'm waiting for FL Studio to introduce Alt F12. But for my testing, it's been good and it just allowed me to get that fast workflow. So again, you can change presets just like before. Okay, let's hop to the mixer. There is a lot I have tried to solidify to give a really, really awesome workflow. You can select the mixer by clicking the bottom arrow. Before we cover the mixer, I do just want to talk about the biggest one I want to share with you that I was so happy I was able to figure this one out. We can open this up and now you can see here we have the store in spare state and the flip with spare state. When you are mixing your music, flipping between 2 different states is so important. First of all, yes, you have to make sure it is at a fair volume comparison. But if you come here, you go store in spare state and you change this and you do whatever you want, this allows you to flip this with the state. So look at 3. So I'm going to flip it. And you can see it goes back to the way it was. So check this out. I can hit the green pad to flip the state. So right now, because I've saved it, it's the exact same copy. So you have to make sure that you change something up like something like this, okay? Now I flip it, totally different, okay? Very, very important for a fast workflow. So this one goes right, this one goes left. This one right here, it disables or enables the effect. Okay, so look down here. This is really useful for sometimes, let's say you have heavy EQ, heavy compression, but you just want to disable all those effects. Instead of taking your mouse coming here, you can simply just hit the button and it disables the effects. Really useful. We can also solo out with the next button. This button right here opens up the very, very first plugin, and the button to the left, this one right here, opens up the previous plugin. And the best example I can share here is on the master. You can see I have plugins at the top and plugins at the bottom. If I hit this button, it's going to open up Pro L2, and it's going to work its way to the classic clipper. It'll work its way to Pro MB. And now watch, Pro C2 is not opened. I want to go back to the classic clipper. So we're going to hit this pad. We're going to go to Pro L2. We're going to now open up Pro C2. And now, again, because I am in preset mode, as well as I have my global links set up. If you want to learn more about hands-on mixing, check out my course. It's called Hands-on Mixing in FL Studio. I go super in depth to give you guys an experience like this. Check this out. I can mix just like this. I can go to my next plugin just like this. And you can see we can adjust just like that. All right, so on to the 2 last buttons. So this one's 11 and 12. I'm going to focus on 12 first, and then I'll quickly do a quick recap on the 11, which is the to load a preset fast, okay? So number 12, as you can see, I'm highlighted on the dance piano. We can now route sounds from the channel rack to the mixer with only one button, okay? You just hit the channel rack. You can go down to whatever sound you want. Let's just say this LD. You go back to the mixer, whatever insert you want it to go to. Let's say this one, and there you go. So we have now routed 24 here. We have routed 25 to there. So one last button is number 11. I just want to really stress this. I have set up Grat Workflow to auto select the preset for a very, very fast workflow. But if you don't like that workflow, like if you would like it to just hit the button and select your own preset, again, you can go into the premium settings here and you can enable like 0 and then save it on whatever one you want, and then make sure to open up the settings and go refresh device list. So like I was saying, if you do want this workflow, you have to make sure to save it just like this with one dash. If you want to have multiple presets loaded, then you'll want to disable that to 0, okay, in the Grat workflow. But save it just like this, and what's going to happen is, as you can see, it's going to select that very, very first preset. And so what my mindset was by setting this up is, typically for my virtual instruments, I usually like to have an EQ and a compressor on each track. It just allows me to kind of sculpt it exactly how I'm wanting. And in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I would do is I would, let's just say right here, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, that saves so many clicks. And then what I would do is I would right click here. So again, these are all highlighted. And then I would go to channel routing, route selected channel starting from this track. But you can see that now it all goes. But so here is the problem with that workflow right now. So right now 37 is right here, right? Let's just change the color of that, this color. And then I'll come here and I'll put that same color in. Okay, so we have that color. And what's going to happen is if we load a preset, it removes that coloring and stuff. However, the routing still exists, but that's why what I did was I opened them up first. So for example, from 46, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you kind of got to think ahead. And then if you want that color coding, then you can just right click, go channel routing, and then route selected channel starting from this track. And that's how you can kind of get like that workflow, okay? So now we are on to the plugin window. Again, a plugin effect is different than a generator. How it works is, again, off of the MIDI keyboard, off the drum pads, if you're highlighted on a mixer insert, we can hit a button. So this one does the next plugin, previous plugin, okay? Now, the biggest improvement to version 2.1 is in the store spare state and the flip with spare state. And I already shared that with you. So for example, if we put this down here, you can hit this button right here. It's going to store it in the spare state. And then again, if the Grat workflow is enabled, this is going to auto flip. Otherwise, what was happening is, I'll share that with you quickly. If I come here, you can see that flip with spare state is not highlighted. In other words, if I come down here, you can see that we cannot select it. Okay. And so what I found was when I hit the button, it actually opened up link all parameters. And I think that would really confuse people. So if you're aware of this, which now you are, you can put Grat workflow to 1. And in other words, you have to make sure that you actually store in spare state. Because watch this, if I hit this button, it opens up this and it's like, well, what's going on? And because the way how I've set this up is it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it should be 9, but it goes to link all parameters and it hits enter. And that's the Grat workflow, okay? So let's say we have it set up like this. You can see that I actually have a flip with spare state, and watch. So now it flips with that to this. All right, so on to the browser. So no matter what window you're focused in, you could be in the mixer and we hit this white button. So number 7, you can see it focuses in the browser. So if I'm on channel rack, browser, and again, just look up here. Many times I have it set up. It's kind of teaching you as you're using it, okay? Now watch, if I am in the browser and if I hit this button, you can see nothing's happening. And like, let's say we wanted to close this virtual instrument, you can just hit tab and it'll tab over. Then you can close it. Hit this button, go to the browser. Now you can go down, you can go up. And again, so I just want to repeat, this is like the up arrow. This is like the down arrow. This is how you re-trigger the sound. The last thing I'll share is if you want to add the sound into the actual channel rack, you just hit this drum pad right here and you can see it loads up. Okay, so you can see we're on 005. Let's add 007. So right now I'm focused on the channel rack window. Watch this. We hit the browser. We're going to go to 7. Boom, boom. We add it in. Let's say we want to add another sound in. Browser, down, down, add it in. And so as you can see, all these plugin windows start being open, or like the channel sampler windows. And I was like, kind of annoying. Watch one button. back to normal. And again, so I'm just waiting for flstudio in the MIDI scripting. All they have to do is allow us to do Alt and F12, and any of that buggy stuff when you see the windows go away and kind of flash back, that will go away. Again, if you don't want that workflow, you just disable the Grat workflow. And so that is the browser. And the very, very last one is, again, the piano roll. And all you have to do is hit this button right here. And with the piano roll open, again, you can hit these buttons right here to go through your different patterns, all right? And that's all I have right now for the piano roll. And as time goes on, we'll see what I could add in there. But again, I'm creating this just for my own workflow. If you would like to take advantage of it, you know, feel free to follow along. You can give feedback on things that you would maybe like improved or things that you think would really help the workflow. Or most important, if you notice a bug, let me know and I'll try to get on that as soon as possible for you, okay? All right, so if you guys want more information on this MIDI keyboard, start by going to itsgratuitous.com/Oxygen Pro. There is the free MIDI script, again, that gets the transport buttons working. Here is the premium add-on, the template, just $9. You will get lifetime access to all these updates of what you saw today. Leave feedback on what you think about it, if you really like it, if you enjoy the workflow. I tried to really make sure that there's no bugs or anything like that. Also be on the lookout for my quicker video going over the drum pads much faster, okay? I'll talk to you in the next one.